is Deputy General Manager, ROSESO-STROYPROJECT, Alexander Lapigin, who will be talking about how to implement a project somewhere in Bali, lying under the palm trees, enjoying your life. Everybody is dreaming to work lying on a beach, but that's until you try it, because you get the sand in your laptop very soon and start wishing to be in your office again. Just recently, Piotr Manin from Autodesk has demonstrated the future of our design work, and he said that in 5 years everything is going to be done using AI. It will look like this. Well, at least that's the client's dream, that everything is designed by the push of one button. We cannot do it like this now. All we can do is to show you a video like this. And in my presentation today, I'll show you how we designed this facility without AI for now, but using our own hands and heads. Quick info about this BIM project. This is an industrial facility, 72 to 18 to 10 meters. It's a rather small facility, but it's very fitting for our purposes. 17 parts in BIM project, 10 people. Construction plan schedule was 7 months, and design began on June the 1st, 2017. LOD 400. Our main goal of using BIM technologies was to present to the clients the capabilities, the potential of this technology, and to demonstrate our strengths and our capabilities in working with BIM 360. I actually knew about the existence of this BIM 364 days ago at a conference from a company from Sergey Veselov, who is somewhere here today. Thank you, Sergey, for this valuable experience. We decided to use this cloud service, BIM 360, in our next project, because we worked with a remote design team, and we thought that it would fit perfectly considering our needs. Apart from cloud solutions, there were also local solutions. BIM 360, Glue, Field, Recap Pro, Recap 360 to analyze laser scanning, Revit, AutoCAD and Navisworks. This is how it breaks down, category by category, but I think it's more or less clear and self-evident. Everything is according to a GOST state standard. BIM users list shows that we've used BIM mainly for design and for on-site supervision. Goals. Any design team has one main goal: to improve the quality of the final result. So all the modern technologies and modern tools that can that provide this functionality, all these tools have this goal, ultimate goal, in mind, and we shouldn't also forget about it. Everything else is secondary. What we also needed was to have access to all files in one place with internet access, to use external links while working with models, so that the chief engineer could always have access to these models, and version history, to maintain the version history of the files and of the models was also important. so that if anything goes wrong, we could go back a step. And also make functionality to make comments, leave comments, remarks, and to evaluate the quality, the results of work. That's also very important, and something that is overlooked very often. So 10 people, like I said, there are 10 people here: electric engineer, utilities, water engineer, automation, architect, designer, BIM manager, and chief engineer. So several things that we did when we prepared for this project. First, we prepared BIM execution plan that is done specifically for each project, and project after project becomes more and more detailed. Then work schedule, project work schedule. Everything was done here in Microsoft Project because the project itself wasn't too complicated. Folder structure, invitation of all participants, then start of work. You cannot just copy local model file to the cloud. First you need to make a file in the cloud to be able to work with cloud-based files later on and external links. So we had to make these start files first. And our consultant, PSS Grytec, whom we worked with during this project and whom we consulted with extensively throughout the project. And they helped us with cloud services in particular. This is how file storage structure in the cloud look like. These are external links with blue lines. So each partition, each section had its own file model, and all was uploaded, everything was uploaded into the model. This enabled us to check for the conflicts, collisions, and to prevent these conflicts from appearing during the design stage. Just a recent case 1 week ago happened in our company. Designers who didn't have any Revit experience, who have to work Revit now, but who only work in their own section. They do not have this habit of uploading the next sections. So recently we had a model with very big conflicts between different utility networks, which they could have easily avoided had they uploaded the next sections to the left and to the right from their section. So that's something to pay attention to. One of the advantages of BIM 360 was, and still is, the ability to have access from different devices: desktop, tablet, mobile devices. And this slide shows all three interfaces. So Windows, PC, iOS, iPad, and Android mobile phone. I can, as an engineer, chief engineer on this project, I can tell you that it's very convenient, and sometimes mobile app is even faster than the desktop version, and it's very handy that you can access the model all the time, leave comments, and see what's going on, how works are progressing. Data uploading. It's also very easy to upload the data. You can just drag and drop the files into the cloud, and you can also store any other file formats, not just models. AutoCAD files, PDF files, Word files, whatever. From Revit, you can work directly from the cloud using Revit. You need to create one file-based or cloud-based model, and then it doesn't really make any difference where you work from the cloud or locally. So sometimes designers just even do not know where the file is on their computers or in the cloud. No difference. And another way to work with the cloud is through a desktop connector. We are now more actively using desktop connector because it's virtually the only way to work with external networks and to use external links, because Revit 360 has external link capability, so it supports external links, and we use quick links in Civil 3D, for instance, for utilities, but they do not work in other environments. So we found the way around this by using desktop connector. It basically turns the cloud into a local disk with the same interface, like Windows Explorer, like Dropbox or any other cloud service. So using desktop connector, all the quick links are working, and you can create such complicated joint utility models using desktop connector. This tab here, Actions, is very important because it shows you the history about a file. It's like in social networks where you get into your feed and see what's happening, what has changed over the last time you've been, since the last time you've been in this network. And the same here, when the file was uploaded, what was changed, what was added. So if you want to see what has changed today in the project, you go to this Actions tab and see what was changed, when was changed, and are there any comments, if designers left any comments. So this is how it looks like. Another important functionality is, if there are no comments, if there were some changes in the files but no comments, you can compare two file versions. You can do it directly in 360 Team. So here we're comparing different versions of a model, and we can see that there were several iterations, several dozens of new models, and you can see the difference. 403 elements were added, 306 elements were deleted, and 434 elements were changed. And this may be also very important both for clients and for chief engineer and subcontractors. Another app from BIM 360 family is Glue. Previous speakers have already mentioned Glue before. We are using Glue as a presentation tool, because if you install it on iPad, by the way, I do not know why there's only iPad version of this tool. I think the developers had only iPads and didn't have any Android phones or whatever, but it's a good thing that they have it on iPad, because you can always open the general model and to show it to the client or to the potential client, to your partners, and it's very handy. Well, iPad became a working tool for me since I started using BIM 360 Glue, so I'm always carrying it with me on any meeting, to any meetings, so that I would be able to show quickly what we are doing. Today there were several presentations showing very impressive videos and pictures, screenshots from utility networks, MEP systems, but everything was done in Navisworks or in Revit, and you cannot carry the presentation always in your pocket with you. So this ability to just take out your iPad and show them the client the model is a very good opportunity. Also, we used glue for collision checking, and we also used Navisworks for it. But in the future, we are planning to use glue more. This is how it looks like when a collision is found. The advantages of the glue is that it's cloud-based, so you can open everything in the cloud, and all designers have this access to change something on the go. And again, glue gives you the opportunity to see the inside of a model, and this gave us two opportunities: to coordinate the location for CCTV cameras with the client, so that you will be able to see, if you put a CCTV camera here, what will be the viewing angle, what will it see, and it's very handy. And another advantage is electric grids. Where do we get the cables, electric cables? From the top and from the bottom. And it turns out that from the top you have to use cable trays more, but it gives you more flexibility. So we decided, together with the client, eventually to use from the top approach for electric cables. And together with PSS Grytec, together with previous speaker Alexey Vlasevsky, we did some testing of BIM 360 field. We created a presentation for the client, and you see on the slide approximately how it looked like. We showed it to the clients, showed the capabilities. In this case, it didn't bring us any further. It didn't come to fruition. Because client should also have their own in-house expert who can do the BIM control, or a hired professional. But the budget wasn't big enough, so the presentation remained what it is, a presentation. But the client now knows that they have this opportunity, and maybe in the future they will use it. Besides, there's going to be another field version coming out soon with additional functionalities, so it's quite exciting. So how did we use BIM 360 on construction site? So two views. One is in the model, another on site. You see everything is more or less the same. Using the cloud for documentation storage, documentation repository. It's also very convenient. Although clients still had this nasty habit of sending letters requesting to send them the updated version of the drawing, so they still are not completely trusting the cloud. So please send us the latest version of this drawing. And 3D view of different joints. Again, using Android apps or iPhone apps, you can download a model from the cloud and see the details of some things, some small things, like in this area, for instance, where you have a 3D compressor model, and it's very detailed. Laser scanning is another thing that we did. After the installation of all steel structures, we did the laser scanning. You can see the results. This is not a picture, this is just a cloud point cloud. And sometimes clients asked us, what kind of pictures are these? Where did you get these pictures from? And this is not a picture, this is not a photo, it's a cloud point. No, point cloud. And you can view these point clouds directly online. You can provide access to the client, and the client already on the go, they knew what we have and what they will have after construction finishes. So after installation was completed, we merged the point cloud with the model, found some collisions, identify these collisions, and here you can generate this conflict report for the client. Again, what Alexei said in the previous presentation. We are looking for some automation tools that would enable us to do this in an automatic mode. And as I understood from Vinci Company presentation, from my colleague, they are at the same stage. They're testing different software solutions to find automatic capabilities. And until they find it, they do it manually. And this is what we do as well. We put the column here, and we check that, in fact, the column is 10 centimeters to the left from where it should be. So this is there's still some room for improvement here. This video shows the overview based on the scanning results. The route was identified already at an early stage, and when we combined everything together, we got this joint model, combined model. And while this video is going on, I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you, please raise your hands, who work in various design institutions or design companies? Well, around 80 or 90% of you work in design companies. BIM 360, like I said before, gives you very good opportunities and functionalities to show the results to the client. And the BIM design market is very immature now. The vast majority of the clients just do not know what BIM design is, and there is a small category of clients who have heard something about it, but who are still considering about whether or not to implement it. So the market is very small, and there are not many companies who are doing the actual BIM design. And I do not see any real competition between these companies. But as time goes, the more fierce the competition will be. And BIM 360 allows you to broaden this market and to raise the awareness of the clients about these capabilities using mobile solutions that you can showcase by just pulling out the phone from your pocket. And that's a big advantage for any design institution, any design company, to show what they do, always. So the results. Well, better quality, timely delivery, because construction begins in parallel with the design works. So when they start doing the foundation, you already have to know where water lines are going to be, where water stands, etc. are going to be located. Another advantage is financial one, because our team is geographically located in different locations, not always on the beach, but in different parts of the globe. So they are not working from one office, and this helps you to save time, traveling time, coming to work every day and back. and our estimates show that around 30% of project budget was saved. Of course, BIM solutions are more, and BIM design are more expensive, and the licenses are more expensive, but still there is some room for saving. As for construction, nobody will give you the specific figure how much money you save on construction, but we have identified, by comparing with another projects, have identified around 10% saving possibility. For instance, cable tray design, compressor station. These technologies gives you a very good visual capabilities. The main thing is that all contractors should be aware of this BIM design, because they may think that if they see some strange shape of a cable tray, for instance, they think that there's a mistake, and they need to improve it by making it more simple, the way they see it. And this is what we had on our construction site. So we had to educate them that this is the right thing, the right form, the right shape, and they don't need to change anything. So this is construction visualization. We did this 4D model. We also presented it to our client, and the first question the client had was, does it assign the sequence of work? Your software, does it assign the sequence itself? No, it wasn't the case. Of course, we identified the sequence of works ourselves. I did it personally, based on construction logic. And based on this, we made this video so that the client could control all the works that contractors do and at which stage what works will be carried out. And I hope that in the future, thanks to Autodesk efforts, we will have AI capabilities as well, so that the program itself will identify what should be done after what, the sequence of events. That's just how visualization works, and prospects, where it can be used in the future. We are going to use BIM 360 Team in the future for data storage, and we do use it in our current projects. We are going to continue doing on-site supervision using recap capabilities, laser scanning. Also check new field capabilities. And we are also planning to use BIM 360 Docs for client communication, because it has more functionalities, although it's more complicated. But it's also more effective because it has different access rights, and you can assign different access rights to different users. And also, we are planning to do a joint model for internal and external utility networks in Revit and Utility 3D, and marry them together in one model. Now I'm ready to take your questions. Thank you, Alexander. Any questions, colleagues? Please raise your hand. I have actually two questions. First, was there any expert appraisal, expert analysis, and how did you use BIM with expert appraisal? And the second question is about utility systems. Did you do electric grids, low power grids in Revit? So first is about expert appraisal, and the second question about electric networks, electric grids. Did you do this in BIM also? The first question about expert appraisal. Well, we didn't have any expert appraisals because we had one stage design works. Everything was done in one stage. And right now we are implementing a much larger project which is going to be appraised by Moscow authorities, but from what I see, state experts do not need our BIM model in any form. This is only for the client, which is surprising because already in 2014 the same Moscow appraisal authority had we had speakers in 2014 here, and they boasted about 300 projects with BIM technology that they reviewed. But as far as I understand it, it's not required, it's not in demand right now. They may have the relevant competencies to do this, but it's not necessary to do this, it's not obligatory. All they need is a PDF version of a 3D file. And as to your second question, I'm not going to go back on to the first slides, but the first couple of slides in my presentation showed that one of our project parts was done in BIM, and 15 parts of the project that were done in BIM were dedicated to different utility systems. Electric grids, low power networks, of course everything was designed together with cable trays, with everything was designed without the cables themselves. Same for low current elements, everything including fire sensors and lights, signage, everything without the cables because it's not efficient. Process equipment was also modeled, process communications, and that's it, I think. Thank you. Other questions? Alexander, question from me. So you are an effective chief engineer. That's a dream professional for any client. Thank you. You're very kind. Can you recommend to other engineers what do you remember about yourself about 4 to 5 years ago? What skills do they need to hone? What skills do they need to focus on to become not just a good engineer, but a dream engineer who is working on the beach and bathing his feet in the ocean? Again, let me start at the end. It's not very convenient to work at the beach, because even if we take our current projects, even though we use cloud and our teams are geographically located in different places, our client wants many of us, well, at least they want me to be physically available at a meeting in Moscow on Tuesdays. So I spend every Tuesday in SAP-SAM trains going from St. Petersburg to Moscow, traveling back from Moscow to St. Petersburg, even though there isn't really any real necessity for it. Everything can be done by Skype or email. So that's clients are still old-fashioned this way. There's still a certain inertia. They just want to see the people who work on the project physically. So it's a matter of trust. And getting back to the first part of your question, what to do in order to be an effective chief engineer, a BIM technology savvy engineer. And let me be frank, I am not a BIM wizard, and there are still lots of things I do not know about. We have a dedicated BIM manager, Halina. She is also present here. And if somebody asks a tricky question, I will probably look at her, and she will probably hint something to me. So if you want to become good at BIM, first you need to become a good chief engineer, and that's another matter completely. And then you need to hire a good BIM manager who knows BIM very well and whom you can trust. And together with this BIM manager, you have to make a good team. And the last question, please. Keep the rest of your questions, please, for the panel discussion. Valery Vodov. Close. Test project. I have actually several questions, but since we are pressed for time, I'll just ask one question about legislation. We are also designing industrial facilities, and since March 19th this year, there are two new rules that were enacted by the government. One is about information model exchange, the rules how to exchange information model with experts, etc. And another rule is about how to make model at different project life cycles. So, question is, have you read these requirements, new rules, and have you had any problems with them? Well, it's a good question, and within the scope of this project that I was talking about, BIM design was our own initiative. So, in this project, we didn't even have any BIM specifications. We just had an understanding what we need to do, and it's correspondent to the actual result by about 90%. And for the future, well, again, getting back to this project, this wasn't a 100% industrial facility, and what you've mentioned, the rules, they were not mentioned in our BIM specifications. And again, it was almost entirely internal document. Even though the client requested it, clients normally do not have dedicated experts who know BIM technologies good enough. So we have to do it ourselves. We have to write these specifications for ourselves. And sometimes, if you are lucky, the client hires someone, an external expert who knows about BIM. Because if they don't do this, the consequences may be well, different. And it's hard to work with a client who doesn't know what they want, especially if they've heard about BIM, but they've heard just something. And we've had such situations before when we argued about the level of detailization, level of detail during the as-built design stage. And our client showed the presentation of Piotr Manin dating back in 2015, because if you Google BIM and LOT, that's the first thing that you get in the Russian internet. So they refer to this presentation like it was a holy Bible, and they didn't want to listen to any arguments. Everything should be done like what this guy says in the presentation. Here should be LOD 300. Here should be LOD 200. So this incompetence in terms of BIM technology, sometimes it's challenging. Well, thank you.